Welcome, everyone. This is Assembly Bethesda On Air, and I'm your host, Hayne Fogarty. Today, we're going to step into a really profound and, frankly, a bit shadowed room from ancient history, a golden covering that still speaks volumes to us today. We're diving deep into the mystery behind what's known as the mercy seat. Now, when you hear mercy seat, you might imagine something soft, perhaps comforting, but that's really not the picture at all. The mercy seat, or the cover of the Ark of the Covenant, was crafted from pure gold, over wood, adorned with cherubim whose wings stretched out, their eyes looking downward. It was a very specific, sacred place, a place where blood was required, and yet, paradoxically, a place where God's presence was promised. Imagine the people in the wilderness carrying this ark, and on its lid, this incredible weighty covering. Inside the box were the tablets of the law, those unbroken commands that, let's be honest, no one had ever truly kept. But above that box, between those golden wings, the very voice of God would speak. So you see, between the unbroken law and the holy presence of God stood this covering. And on that covering, once a year, the high priest would place blood. What a vivid, powerful image, isn't it?
So that's our first picture, and it's incredibly striking, isn't it? The law remains, God's holy presence remains, and the blood stands squarely between them. Here's a key insight. Mercy, in this context, doesn't erase the demand for justice. Instead, mercy answers that demand, and it does so with life poured out. Think about that. The atmosphere around that mercy seat was never casual. Can you imagine the scene? The high priest entered alone, just once a year, only after meticulous washing, after making sacrifices for his own sin. The people outside waited, listening, probably holding their breath, for the sound of the bells on his robe. If those bells stopped, they knew with chilling certainty that God's glory had consumed him. The room itself, the most holy place, was dark, illuminated only by a divine presence that no human could look upon directly. Those golden cherubim watched. The air was thick, heavy with the undeniable truth. Holiness and sin cannot occupy the same space without something dying. This, my friends, is the Gothic weight of the Old Covenant. Beauty and danger braided together, gold and blood, wings and judgment. The mercy seat wasn't about pretending people were fine. It declared they were not fine, and then, crucially, it provided the only way for them to remain alive in the presence of the one who absolutely is fine.
Now, what's truly fascinating is how this same pattern, this same profound truth appears again, only the scale has utterly changed. If you look at the letter to the Romans, it says that God put forward Christ as a mercy seat through faith in his blood. The Greek word used there, hilasterion, is no accident. It's deliberate. It directly points back to that golden covering. So we see the same covering, the same meeting place, the same absolute requirement of blood. But here's the game changer, friends. This time, the blood isn't from an animal, something that frankly could never truly carry the immense weight of human sin and God's demand for justice. No, this time the blood is from the Son of God himself. He's the one who became sin for us, the one who not only fulfilled every single demand of the law, every single command, but then also bore the curse of every single broken command we've ever committed. This is not just a tweak to the old system, it's a complete, divine, and perfect fulfillment. It's a mind-bending truth that transforms everything.
Think about this then. The darkness of the cross truly becomes the new most holy place. Can you picture it? Midday turns into night, a terrifying supernatural darkness. The very veil of the temple, that thick curtain separating humanity from God's holy presence, is dramatically torn from top to bottom, not by human hands, but by divine power. The cry of abandonment rises from the Son. His side is pierced, and blood and water flow out. That, my friends, is the sprinkling. That is the covering. The unbroken law of God is still absolutely there, demanding perfection. But now it has been fully satisfied by Christ. The presence of God is still unapproachably holy, yet the way into that presence is now wide open because the perfect blood of Jesus has already been applied once for all. This means we no longer approach with the same terror, that dread fear of being consumed, as the high priest once did. And yet we absolutely approach with the same profound reverence. Why? Because the danger, the ultimate judgment, has already fallen on another, on Christ. The glory that once would have utterly destroyed the guilty now mercifully rests on all of us who simply trust in his finished, perfect work.
Now, here's a crucial point, and it's something I think we often wrestle with in our modern context. There's a real temptation to soften this powerful picture. We might want to speak only of love without the blood, or acceptance without the astronomical cost. But the mercy seat, in both its Old and New Covenant forms, simply won't allow that softening. It insists with unwavering clarity that the law is real, that sin is truly expensive, and that God's holiness is absolutely not negotiable. Yet at the very same time, it insists that the blood of Christ is utterly sufficient. This is the profound mystery, isn't it? It's not that God simply overlooks our failures. The mystery is that God remains perfectly just while simultaneously justifying, declaring righteous, the one who simply has faith in Jesus. Justice and mercy, those two seemingly opposing forces, meet perfectly at the same golden lid, the cross, and neither one is diminished. What a beautiful, challenging truth to wrap our minds around and allow to settle deeply in our souls.
Let's really consider the profound continuity we see in this story across time, friends. In the Old Tent, the very voice of God spoke from above that golden mercy seat. And today, in the New Covenant, that same holy presence is still found. But crucially, it's found where the blood of Christ has been trusted. What's truly interesting, perhaps even a bit awe-inspiring, is that our gatherings as believers, our churches, our communities, can still carry an atmosphere that feels heavy, sacred, almost frightening in its nearness. This isn't some leftover from an older, harsher system. No, it's the very same holy God who once filled the tabernacle so completely that no one could enter. The critical difference, though, is that the blood has already been sprinkled, and the invitation is now wide open to you. The high priest of old came with fear and trembling, literally risking his life. We, however, come with boldness. But let's be absolutely clear, this isn't presumption. It's a deep confidence rooted firmly in the covering that has already been placed by Christ. The law inside the ark hasn't been softened, it's been fulfilled. The demands haven't been ignored, they've been met. God's presence hasn't become casual, it has become profoundly available. This profound availability changes everything for us.
Now, let's walk further into the Shano for a moment and really grapple with a fundamental question. Why blood at all? Why this particular powerful way of covering? It's a fair and honest question, isn't it? The ancient texts don't always offer a neat philosophical explanation that satisfies every intellectual query. But what they consistently show us, again and again, is the undeniable pattern. Life is in the blood. Atonement is made by blood. Without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. This, my friends, is the Gothic heart of our faith. It doesn't turn away from this requirement. Instead, it courageously walks into that darkness and discovers that the darkness itself has already been entered by the sun, and the light that shines there cannot be overcome. This profound truth also teaches us about the true cost of nearness to God. He doesn't lower his perfect standard so that we can approach him. No, instead, he meets that standard himself perfectly so that we can approach. The gold remains pure, the wings remain outstretched, and yes, the blood remains absolutely necessary. But the beautiful, game-changing difference is that the blood has already been given, once for all, and the way is no longer limited to one man once a year. It is now gloriously open to all who simply trust this covering.
There's a quiet, profound weight in this truth that truly settles over the soul, isn't there? Many voices today prefer a brighter, lighter story that never mentions judgment or blood or the unbroken law. But the mercy seat stands squarely against that preference. It says the law is still real, the guilt is still real, the holiness is still consuming, and yet, gloriously, the blood is enough. The guilty are not destroyed, they are covered. The presence is not withdrawn, it is offered. Think of the torn veil. That barrier which once protected people from the glory is removed, not because the glory has become less, but because the blood has made a way through the glory. The most holy place is no longer just a room behind a curtain. It is the very presence of the living God, open to those who come by the new and living way, the way of the blood of Jesus. The atmosphere remains Gothic in the best sense. There's still mystery, there's still weight, there's still the sense that we stand on holy ground. The difference? The ground has been sprinkled, and the one who stands with us has already borne the fire. This, my friends, is the heart of the matter. The mercy seat isn't a relic of some forgotten system. It is the divine pattern that finds its glorious completion in the cross. The old covering pointed forward. The new covering points back to the same holy God and forward to the same finished work. The blood still speaks. The presence still waits. The invitation still stands. We live in the light of that finished covering, and we don't lose the reverence. We approach with confidence, yet never casually. The law has been satisfied. The blood has been applied. The way is open. That is the mystery. That is the hope. That is the dark and beautiful truth that sits at the very center of our faith. Take time with this, will you? Let the weight of that golden lid settle. Let the image of the blood remain. Let the presence feel near and holy. The shadows around the mercy seat are not empty. They are filled with the finished work of the one who became the covering for us. Thank you so much for joining me today. As always, it's a pleasure to spend this time with you. God bless, and until next time, courage. If you like what I do here, head on over to www.assemblybethesda.com